திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். 4 பேர் போன வழியில போ. Proceed in the route. The 4 have gone is a Tamil quote. Appar, Gnanasambandar, Sundarar and Manikavachakar are the 4 who have shown the 4 paths to reach Godhood. The 4 routes or the attitudes are master servant, father son, friend and oneness with the Lord respectively. Of the above 4 acharyas of Saivism, Sundaramurthy Nayanar's life is a glorious one. He is none other than the Lord's reflection, and so are we. He was sent to this earth on the pretext to teach us the Sakamarga, that is, to have a friendly attitude even while practicing devotion with the Lord, with all our limitations and attain oneness with His grace, which is ever available to all. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa of the 19th century said to his devotees that though God is everywhere, He manifests especially in sacred temples which are full of spirit of devotion. The Tamil land in India even now has more than 50,000 big and small temples, with history and devotion as their basic structure. Sundaramurthy Nayanar in 8th century visited many of these temples, sang the glory of Lord there, obtained grace in abundance, spiritual and mundane, and passed on the same to us through his Thevaram compositions. Now, let us proceed to have a peep into a few details of his life and make us too worthy of that grace. Trichitrambalam. Once in Kailash, a big gathering of munis headed by Sanaka were seated around the young sage Upamanyu. Suddenly, a dazzling brilliance, stealing everyone's glance, appeared in the sky. To the curious munis, the young sage revealed that it was the glorious soul of Sundaramurthy Nayanar, who has been commissioned by Lord Shiva to take birth in southern quarters of Bharata, is presently attaining the Lord's feet. On earth, he served the Lord and sang in praise of Lord's 63 servitors in chaste Tamil. Then the munis requested Upamanyu to explain the details of Sundaramurthy Nayanar's life in earth. Sage Upamanyu continued, one day Lord Shiva saw his own reflection in a mirror brought by Nandi and showed it to Gauri. The mother said, may this image become embodied and appear here. And the Lord granted the wish and called the embodied reflection Sundara. Lord Shiva trained Sundara in the acts of creation, preservation, dissolution, veiling and grace. He imparted to him knowledge relating to the soul, the world and God. Meanwhile, the gods and the demons started churning the milky ocean with the help of Vasuki, the serpent king, hoping to extract Amritam. Vasuki spewed halahalam, a potent dark poison capable of destroying the worlds. Threatened by the scorching venom, the gods appeared to Lord Shiva and beseeched him to save them. Lord Shiva bade Sundara to intervene, who then rushed to the ocean, collected the all-pervasive poison, and holding it in his hand as a small jambu fruit, returned to Kailash. The Lord then showed the poison to Girija and gave the title Halala to Sundara, who thenceforth came to be known as Halala Sundara. Sundara, who thus boldly carried out the Lord's command, soon became arrogant about his achievement. Lord Shiva, the self of all, sensed this and decided to correct him in a proper context. One day, the eyes of Sundara fell on 2 maidens of exceeding beauty, who were Kamalini and Anindita, the foremost attendants of Mother Gauri. His senses were completely defeated by Kama, the god of sensual love, and so were those damsels upon seeing him. Unable to dare any further, they returned to their respective quarters. Divining that everything transpired according to his mandates, Shiva beckoned to Sundara and addressed him in a solemn voice. This hallowed abode of mine is hard-earned by munis of blemishless minds that are infertile for any seed of passion. Now, what you have desired here has no place. You will take birth on earth and enjoy the desires thus fructified. There is a place called Jambupuram, that is Thirunavalur, near Arunachalam. There lived a pious couple by named Jatila and Jnanavati, that is, Sadayanar and Isainyaniyar, and to them Sundara was born. The parents named the boy Aruran. His spotless beauty earned him the name Sundara, the handsome. The orthodox father performed all formalities for the boy sanctioned by tradition. Once, when the boy was playing in the street, was seen by Narasimha, the local king of that region. Enamored by the boy's lustrous countenance, the issueless king obtained loving permission of the parents and took him to his palace and reared him. As Sundara came of age, Sadangavit, a Brahmana of Puttur, offered his girl in marriage. Soon a date was fixed, and Sundara underwent all formalities required of a bridegroom. The bride's father washed his feet in golden plate and offered his daughter, along with other gifts, to the accompaniments of mantras. Privileged in many ways, such as wealth, knowledge, beauty, and youthfulness, Sundara was acclaimed as an unequaled male on the earth. Now, the chief priest took the formal permission of all the dignitaries for the initiation of the grand finale, Mangalam. Just then appeared in the midst of the cheerful assembly an old man with his chest covered fully by Rudraksha garlands. His presence inspired awe and respect among the audience. The old man said in a quivering but confident voice, "I ever reside in Kamalalayam. I know your lineage well. Hearken everyone to what I have to say. This Sundara is my slave at large. Ignoring me and claiming him as his son, Jatila is enforcing this wedlock on him. Sundara and I have a deal. Let's first settle that, and only then this wedding shall conclude." Hearing this, Sundara laughed in amusement and demanded for proof of this contention. The old man replied, "You are a slave. What right do you have to see the deed?" Sundara charged at the master in disguise, while the latter tried to flee. As everybody watched in shock, Sundara caught hold of the old recluse, succeeded in finding the document, quickly read through the contents, and tore it to pieces. The old man protested against this unethical act of the bridegroom and complained to the elders and the learned and forced them to go to the court in Thiruvannainallur. At Sri Navanithapuram, that is Thiruvannainallur, the matter was placed with the court. The old man produced the original document deed. The judges said in great pity, "Sundara, there is no escape for you now. You must surrender forthwith to this senior citizen." The hapless bridegroom decided to bow to the unfavorable verdict and give himself unto the old man. The aged and seasoned litigant, "Let me follow him right away," he thought. "Follow me, Sundara," said the old man, "to my abode," and Sundara obeyed. Then Sundara and the old man entered the temple of Navaniteshwara. There appeared on the bull mount with his family the Lord with Parvati, Ganesha, and Skanda. The sanctum was ablaze with lustrous light and proved the Lord's presence once more. The Lord, beaming smiles all around, said to the hymning celestials, "This Sundara is my bonded slave." He was all compassion. Sundara, with his hands clasped above his head, petitioned, "O mine of virtues, it is surpassing wonder that you should consider me, who am the most unworthy. Will my sins ever diminish? How can I, ignorant of your grandeur, venture to extol your glories? Pray enlighten me." The Lord said to Sundara, "You have already given me the appellation madman when I came to claim you. Now set out with the same title and sing forth. You shall be blessed with Goddess Saraswati's presence." Sundara started singing, "Pitta Piraisudi Perumane Arulala."
Pitta Piraisudi Perumane Arulala. Pitta Piraisudi Perumane Arulala. Perumane Arulala. Yettan மறவாதே எத்தான் மறவாதே நினைக்கின்றேன் மனத்துன்னை எத்தான் மறவாதே நினைக்கின்றேன் மனத்துன்னை வைத்தாய் பெண்ணை தென்பால் வெண்ணை நல்லூரருட்டுறையுள் வைத்தாய் பெண்ணை தென்பால் வெண்ணை நல்லூரருட்டுறையுள் வெண்ணை நல்லூர் அருட்டுறையுள் வெண்ணை நல்லூர் அருட்டுறையுள் அத்தா உனக்கு ஆளாய் இனி அத்தா உனக்காளாயினி அல்லேன் என்னலாமே அத்தா உனக்காளாயினி அல்லேன் என்னலாமே
Praying thus, Sundara shed tears that cleansed the Lord's feet. Shiva lifted him and bade him to visit his abodes and worship him with sweet hymns. Sundara started his spiritual journey to various Saivite centers in Tamil land. After worshipping the Lord at Tiruvadigai Veerattanam, he stayed in the outskirts in a mud called Siddhavatam. As he lay asleep that night, Veeratteshwara came in the guise of an old-aged Brahmana. He reclined close to Sundara and placed his feet on Sundara's head, as if inadvertently in sleep. Sundara rose with a jolt and cried, "Who are you, sir, placing your feet on my head and disturbing my sleep? Can't you see?" The old man replied apologetically, "Senility affects my senses. Forgive my felony." Sundara found another spot and lay down. In no time, he was aroused by another soft kick on his head. Finding the culprit to be the same old man, he cried out, "Whoever you are you intent on kicking me repeatedly?" The old man retorted, "Don't you know me? You are Lord Gangadhara?" Saying this, he vanished from sight. Sundara lamented on his ignorance of Lord's presence and in remorse sang a decade in praise of Veera Attahasa Shiva.
தம்மானை அறியாத சாதிய குளரே தம்மானை அறியாத சாதிய குளரே சடைமேற்கொள் பிறையானே விடைமேற்கொள் விகிதன் சடைமேற்கொள் பிறையானே விடைமேற்கொள் விகிதன் விடைமேற்கொள் விகிதன் விடைமேற்கொள் விகிதன் கைமாவின் ஊரியானை கரிகாட்டில் ஆடல்.
Then he proceeded to Tirutturayur, where the Lord Sishtagurunada, in the guise of an old man, led Sundara to the temple from a nearby place called Kizhappakam.
மலையாரருவி திரள் மாமணி உந்தி மலையாரருவி திரள் மாமணி உந்தி குலையார கொணர்ந்து எட்டியோர் பெண்ணை வடவர் குலையார கொணர்ந்து எட்டியோர் பெண்ணை வடவர் கலையரல்குல் கன்னியராடும் துறையூர் கனையரல்குல் கன்னியராடும் துறையூர் தலைவா உன்னை வேண்டிக் கொள்வேன் தவநெறியே தலைவா உன்னை வேண்டிக் கொள்வேன் தவநெறியே தவநெறியே தவநெறியே.
From there, he proceeded to visit other places. Reaching Vamanapuram, that is Thirumanikuri, he worshipped Vamanesa with glorious hymns. From Thirumanikuri, Sundara proceeded to Chidambaram. The town resounded with resonating Vedic chants, and the air had mixture of fragrance emanating from sacrificial fire. The city was the repository of knowledge of the self and established in timeless Vedas, Upanishads, Agamas, and Puranas. Sundara received a loving welcome and entered the temple through its northern towers and worshipped Sivagami Nataraja with a decade of Devaram. Then he heard the Lord's voice bidding him to go to Thiruvarur and worship him there. Everyone watching this devotee's grandeur fell prostrate at his feet. Unmoved by this attention, Sundara adored them all mentally and proceeded to Thiruvarur. Sri Tyagaraja, the Lord of Thiruvarur, appeared in the dreams of devotees of the town and bade them to accord a grand welcome to Sundara. Accordingly, the town was decorated with flowers, festoons, and banners. On reaching Thiruvarur, overjoyed by the grace of the Lord, Sundara dashed to the precincts of Lord's abode, the Kamalayam. As the ocean swells at the sight of full moon, his poesy and devotion increased leaps and bounds, as his eyes feasted on the Lord's form, and he set about to sing his praises. He continued to stay in Thiruvarur and carried on his devotional services.